All right, I think we got this working. This is always a little confusing to me of whether this is on, but when we're on Zoom and streaming on Facebook, it's a little funky here, but it looks like we're going. I'm gonna just double check it. Yep, we're going. Awesome. I am here on Zoom so I can share some things with you and share my screen. I'm so excited for this particular piece today. My name is Julie Hirschberg, by the way. I am the owner and founder of Re+active Therapy and Wellness in the Los Angeles area. And I also work through a lot of education with other therapists about all the things that we're doing and learning at Re+active, to be honest. And a lot of it in the movement disorders realm, because we have a movement disorders fellowship at Re+active in UCLA. And today I want to talk about one of those movement disorders, which is a functional movement disorder or functional neurologic disorder. And this is what you've heard me talk a lot about, to be honest. It's one of my passion areas. It's a passion area for many of us at Re+active. And it's an area that's not well understood. So this is something that we really care to get out to the world, a better understanding of functional neurologic disorders, what they are, who they impact, how they impact people, and most importantly, how we can help people have a full recovery. So the first thing that I want to do is share a little bit about how we learn about functional neurologic disorders, how we teach about it. And I'm really excited, drumroll here, to show you a sneak peek of the course that we put together for functional neurologic disorders. It's called Cultivating Central Nervous System Connectivity, the ultimate functional neurologic disorder course. And this started, gosh, we've been teaching for a couple of years, a weekend course that started with focal dystonia and CRPS. It grew to dystonia, CRPS, and functional neurologic disorders. And what we really realize is functional neurologic disorders are all of those things. So that is really the premise of the course. And when we put together the course, originally also it was a weekend course, and we've really built that out to be a very comprehensive course for healthcare professionals. And it's taught by healthcare professionals. So we have PT, we have OT, we have MDs who are part of this course to take us all the way through what is it? How is it diagnosed? How do you differentially diagnose other disorders? And particularly, I'm so excited, we have Laura Ettinger. She's a pain specialist, but also really understands the autoimmune, the neuroimmune systems as well, and tests and treats that. Amazing. So she brings such a great wealth of information to this course. We also have the amazing Dr. Alan Wu, who teaches in this course and talks through how he goes about testing for functional neurologic disorders, because it is a positive diagnosis, and the differential diagnosis process. So a whole awesome team that is a part of this course. And I wanted to just show you, this is what it looks like online. You can kind of see the welcome, a tour. The course is quite extensive, and you get CEUs, so continuing education units for the course. And then you'll see there's actually a lot of resources before you even start the course. So first, as you'll see here, is just an introduction to functional neurologic disorders, and particularly how it gets diagnosed for a PT, and that it's truly a positive diagnosis. So we've got videos here, we've got lots of great downloads. So practical reviews for the general physician, speech therapy, OT, PT consensus papers. Those are some of the seminal resources in functional neurologic disorders. So that's part of the beginning, is let's just review, let's get the basics of functional neurologic disorders. So coming back here to the course. So this is the pre-course. Now, how about pain? So this is really where we started this course, was Brittany, Kim, and I really talking, going, wow, there's so much overlap in pain, and particularly centralized pain and CRPS. So why is that, right? That's actually the whole beginning of our course, is why is that? What's the neuroscience of that tells us that there's actually an overlap in these disorders. So that's one of my favorite things. I love to look at the neuroanatomy. I love to look at those connections and processes and try to understand it and take that into my assessment and treatment. So Brittany brings this really nice background on pain and how we understand pain, so that when we come together in the course, we can kind of put this all together. So that's some of the background. I really wanted to share with you today some of the pre-course training, and this is going to take us a little into the why. Why do we talk about the sensory system so much? Why do we talk about the autonomic? And especially because these are not big parts of our training as therapists. There's the evidence out there, but it just our own training and coursework has not caught up to it. So this pre-course training, the first part of it is all about becoming the psychologically informed therapist, or a real mindful therapist. This is so important, not just in functional neurologic disorders, but everything. And honestly, I think this is like probably one of the most life-changing parts of the course. And I've already heard from people who have taken this and really found this to be very moving. So there's actually some videos here to talk about how we as people, as humans interacting with other humans, bring so much to the table, bring so much to the therapeutic relationship. And then we actually go through a practice together. So we talk about the 5 E's. This is from an amazing article. It's in the pain science literature about how we interact and how we interact with the environment. So we review that here, and we really move beyond the biopsychosocial model in this part of the training. But here's where it gets really good, is we actually do a little bit of practice. And I love this. So one of the things is to actually move through a scenario where somebody says something, and this is really common, right? Like people say stuff to us as we're working with them, and we start to have a response, right? So first we might be thinking things. I know for me, I'm just going to be really honest here. One of the first things that often comes to my mind is like, I made a mistake here. I said the wrong thing. I did the wrong thing. I'm a terrible therapist. I'm just being really honest. That is something that comes to my mind sometimes. Then we work through a process together. So this is really becoming that inactive therapist, becoming aware of ourselves in the interaction, how that made me feel. So we're clicking through things. These are some of my top ones here: scared, anxious, nervous, self-critical. How it made me feel emotionally, how I might feel in my body. So getting myself connected to my body. And then also considering what might the person I'm with, what might they be feeling that came out with their statement? Then taking an action, what can I do to calm or regulate my nervous system? And then how can I respond to the statement the person made? I can't tell you how life-changing it has been for me to become a practitioner that is aware of myself. Now, this has taken me a lot of practice. I have a psychologist I work with. I have a psychologist also that does more somatic work to help me get in tune with my body. It's a lot of mindfulness practice, but boy, is it the most profound thing that I've ever done in my clinical practice. So that's part of our pre-course training, knowing ourselves and then taking action on that. And that really links directly into the autonomic nervous system, because a lot of the autonomic nervous system, we regulate with each other, we co-regulate. And So being aware of ourselves and what's happening in our autonomic nervous system is really important. So in the second piece, what you'll see here is we've got a pre-course training on the autonomic nervous system, which is part of our autonomic nervous system course. And we've got a cheat sheet to assess and treat in the autonomic nervous system as well. So that's a great resource. Then we got to practice it, right? So here we actually look at within ourselves, if our nervous system needs some regulation, what might be helpful? Breathing techniques, addressing the sleep-wake cycle. Maybe it's fitness and cardiovascular. Maybe it's our emotional health. Maybe it's mindfulness. These are all key pieces that directly influence our autonomic nervous system. We need to know them for ourselves in order to help other people. And then second, in here is sensory. So sensory also has such a big link to the autonomic nervous system. And I love this little activity because, again, as therapists, what we were looking at is sensory input at work and home, and what kinds of things were calming and energizing in these sensory systems: visual, olfactory, taste, hearing, vestibular, somatosensory. And again, as we look to help create maybe a sensory diet or plan for a person, we've got to be thinking of these things. And the first place is thinking of them for ourselves and increasing that awareness. So these are two big pieces that we have in our pre-course training, which, by the way, if you're already coming to the course, make sure you're diving into these beforehand, because these will really set you on fire for tackling that course when we do it live next weekend. So we also have a pre-course training on motor learning. Obviously, optimal theory all the way, right? So we have a practice for that. And then we dive into the course itself. The course is going to be a 2-day course. It's Saturday and Sunday. It's live, but it's also recorded and will be in little bits and chunks for you to get background on neuroscience, to get differential diagnosis with the physicians, to get assessment and treatment, and actually to discuss your cases. So that is one of our favorite things, is that people bring or send their own cases, and we discuss them. We discuss them with the physicians. We discuss them with each other. We give a lot of great ideas about them. And this is all part of the course. So a lot of people have asked me, but I can't be there. I can't be there the whole time. And actually, it's Thanksgiving in Canada. It's all going to be there. It's all going to be recorded. And you can send if you've got questions, if you've got a patient, send it ahead of time and we'll discuss it. That's one of my favorite things about this course, is that it's a lot of practice and problem solving. Make it really practical, and we'll be able to implement it right away. So that's the sneak peek I wanted to share with you. And particularly, I wanted to give you a couple of pieces of the why. Why are we diving so deeply in the autonomic nervous system in this pre-course training? Why the sensory system? So I've got 2 resources that I love, that, again, if you're a part of our newsletter, you'll get these today. They're free, full text, and our newsletter goes out on Fridays. If you're not part of our newsletter, you can sign up on our website. Our website is reactiveeducation.com, by the way. That's where you could also check out this course, Cultivating Central Nervous System Connectivity course. You can hop on the wait list for our Brain Bites group. It's opening soon. So if you like to chat and learn and get mentored with other therapists who love this interesting side of neuro, that's the group for you. But I want to share with you a couple of resources that are coming in your newsletter. So the first one about the sensory system. This just came out last year. It was called Sensory Processing Difficulties in Functional Neurologic Disorder, and it was a possible predisposing vulnerability. Led by the amazing group at Mass General Hospital, led by an OT, my favorite, and really looked at possible sensory processing difficulties in patients with functional neurologic disorder. And they find that indeed some people did have sensory processing difficulties. So one, we need to assess it, right? So we need to assess things like low sensory registration, sensory sensitivity, maybe sensory avoiding. For sure, this is what I see in functional neurologic disorders, and we need to test it. And really, one of the things that I love is by the end of the paper, they're also saying, like, we need more research here. Absolutely. This is just the start to see first that there are some of these sensory processing difficulties in functional neurologic disorders, but then we need to bring it to treatment. And so this is why we do this sensory activity as part of our cultivating course, because we should be aware of the different sensory systems, for one. I think we are aware, but how they might impact the person and their symptoms. And then we can provide education and insight for people, self-advocacy for controlling their sensory environment if needed, a sensory diet. So that's what that activity that I showed you, that's what that was all about. A sensory diet, or particular kinds of sensory input, adapting their environment as needed, and providing the social and maybe school supports to really help control symptoms, because sensory triggers are very common in functional neurologic disorders. So great article. Thank you to the group from Mass General for doing great research. And I will put a link in our newsletter. The second article, and actually, this is an entire book. I love this book. It's a stress system model for functional neurologic disorders. It's based on the work in pediatrics and adolescents, and it's really phenomenal. And what they have really found through a lot of research and work with kids is that there is a strong brain-body stress system involvement. And this is why we talk about the autonomic nervous system. We're actually going to do a little activity in our course and draw out some of the pieces and make connections between things like the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or the HPA axis, the immune inflammatory system, and all of these other brain systems that are the underpinning of pain and arousal and emotional states. They're so interconnected. They form a very large integrated system that protects us as a person from a wide variety of threats. And so activation, so this is what they found in their work, is activation of any single part of the system. And it could be emotional stress, it could be pain, it could be injury, it could be infection, it could be psychological trauma. Any of those things can trigger the body's stress response, resulting in a real cascade of stress-induced changes in the brain, which in turn, so here we are cultivating central nervous system connectivity, right? Those in turn can make brain-wide network reorganizations, and that start to prioritize an automatic response to threat. And that is the piece that we can reprogram in functional neurologic disorders. We can absolutely reprogram that response. And so it takes a really intricate understanding of the autonomic system, of the sensory system, and that's why we've got big portions of that in our course. So very important, and two of my favorite topics. So I'll put those links in our newsletter for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me, letting me take you on a little sneak peek of our course, and continue to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is functional neurologic disorders. And again, it's because we need more people, more practitioners who can help people attain a full recovery. And so that's our mission, is to keep spreading the word. So this is why we're doing a weekend course on it. It's next weekend. There's still spots if you'd like to join us live or catch it recorded. And thank you so much. Really have a great day.